Hey, here we are again, another episode of The Wrap.
55.
50 something,
Yes.
50 plus. I mean, when you get so high in numbers, don't you just start doing that? You're like 50 plus, 60 plus, we're somewhere around there. I feel like it's what people do with age, so we can do it with Wrap numbers too, episode numbers as well too.
Start regressing back.
Yeah. 20th episode.
Did I just listen to episode 50?
20th episode for the third time. Yeah. Anyways, we've got a great story for today.
Before we begin our story, I thought I was going to have to explain some stains on my shirt. I went to lunch.
Oh, yeah?
Totally I don't know how I missed that mouth, but I missed my mouth with the chip and salsa.
Yeah.
And had salsa all down my front side.
Oh, well, and
You have to run that.
You have a penchant for doing things with condiments and food.
Oh
on
my
you.
gosh.
I'll never forget.
Condiments
Sorry.
hate me.
I think you guys like stories, don't you? You like stories. Doesn't matter because you can't tell me if you do or not. But
Yeah.
I'll never forget the time that Levi, and you hadn't been here probably very long, had you?
It was probably my first year.
Yeah, within the first year, maybe even
Yeah.
like the first 6 months. I'm not really sure, somewhere around there. We went to Kunkel's. We're enjoying a nice, wonderful lunch at Kunkel's, and Levi grabs a bottle of ketchup.
Bottle of ketchup.
Grabs a bottle of ketchup and does the shake on it, and it pops off all over him, all over his computer.
That computer's still marred by that. I'm just
It
saying.
is. It's like, it's not happy, is it?
No.
It was pretty comical. It's so funny we still talk about it today, 2.5 years later. So,
Yeah.
But you have a rough time with food.
I do.
It does
Food
not
in
like
general.
you.
Well, it likes me. It enjoys being down my front.
Yes. It reminds me of the, I can't remember, it's like an antacid commercial or like a
Well,
something.
and I was going to talk about how,
where the food's
chip
always
that
fighting and
smacked me in
smacking
the
you.
face. Yeah.
I feel like the food does that to you.
We could segue that really easily.
Could we?
The food fight.
Yes,
right?
food fight.
Into a showdown.
We do get to talk about a fight today, a showdown today. Good job on the seg, by the way. I was just telling Levi before we came on, the story for today is the stuff that middle school boys' dreams are made of.
Yeah.
Action, adventure, intrigue, mystery, fighting,
talk.
trash talking, bloodshed, and just a wee bit of potty humor. A wee bit.
It is. It's the middle school boy's dream.
It's just like, I mean, it's no wonder, if you were to ask a middle school boy, give me your 3 top stories out of the Bible, Elijah and his showdown on Mount Carmel would be right up there in the top 3. I feel like, if they really know their Bible and they really know their Bible stories, that one's going to show up right at the top there. So a really fascinating story. It's a really interesting story, and as I was getting ready to preach, I thought to myself, there's something different about this story in comparison to a lot of the other Old Testament stories that we've done to this point. And I finally landed on it that it really is one of those stories that doesn't lend itself well to a traditional 3-point sermon.
Yeah.
It's just to be, because this is, and I say this a lot around here, but this is what I really hate sometimes about preaching, is everything needs to have be an Elijah.
Or
be
deeper meaning.
Yeah, I think that there are things in the text that we usually don't look at that we probably have to take some time to look at. But if every sermon is the message of be an Elijah, be a Daniel, be an Abraham, it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's not about you being them. You can be like them and emulate parts of their character and example, but it's not just flat out just be them. Be them and okay, that's cool. Well, don't think I'm going to go to the top of a mountain and fight 400, pagan priests and worshipers. But anyways, it just doesn't have a nice 3-point, do this, do this, do this, and call me in the morning if things don't work out. It's just it's a story about one thing and one thing only. The story is all about God is the true God, and He is the only one that's worthy of our worship.
Yeah.
Done. Okay, thanks for joining the Wrap today.
5-minute sermon right
it's a
there.
5 minute.
Yeah.
Well, people would probably be mad if I did that because I wasn't 5 minutes on Sunday, so... In fact, I won't mention how long it went, but there were certain members of my family that actually timed the sermon this last Sunday, and they had to let me know about it. And I'm just well, I'm sorry, so Here's the way I see it, though, Levi, is when you come and you get a sermon here, you get your money's worth.
You do.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
like,
not the, man, I thought that was going to be
wow,
longer.
I thought, which, I mean, I think a lot of people
We're going to have to start serving lunch, though, if you go too much longer.
Oh, I know. I'm going to have to start doing like 5 loaves and 2 fish. Like, I don't know what
I'll bring my lunch next week. And
we're going to do
happens.
like animal crackers and Cheez-Its. All right, how do I make this?
The only thing we have is communion wafers and grape juice. What do you think we can do?
Some pretty interesting things, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it is. It's just really as simple as that.
Yeah.
That God is the true God, and that there is no other but Him, and that He alone is worthy of worship. And the whole story really is about God has compelled us to worship Him alone. And if you think about it, let's go back in time, back to the book of Exodus, and what shows up there that Moses brings down from Mount Sinai. He brings down what?
The 10 Commandments.
And what is the very first? Because what we usually say is this. Now, God, I mean, you're God and everything. I do understand that. But could you just, like, maybe for once, share the stage? Like, could you?
No.
What did he say?
There shall be no other God before
Yeah,
me.
like, I'm specifically going to look this up. Exodus 20. Sorry, bear with me. We're going to talk here a little bit while I'm looking this up. It shouldn't take too long.
While you're
to
looking
find.
that up, we had talked about very similar stuff. You know, I did listen to some of your sermon that I've gotten privy to. I was in children's church, so I'm not skipping church. Okay.
There you go.
But
He was, though.
I was telling this story to younger kids, which was kind of fun too. But we talked about in our Sunday school class with the middle schoolers, we were in the book of Revelation. We were talking about the church at Laodicea and how they were neither hot nor cold.
And what does he say? I wish that you were either one or the other, and not
right.
this right in the middle stuff.
Right. And I think that went real, because then they went right into the sermon that Sunday, and you were saying, look, a choice, you need to make a choice, because by not making a choice, you've made a choice.
You've made a choice.
Yeah.
A choice against something and a choice
Right.
for something, whether it's just, well, because we do a lot of stuff. We were like, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to like make a decision, and so I'll just like not. Well, no, you're going to make one, and
Yeah.
you're choosing one or the other thing. Exodus 20, and he says there at the beginning again, this first commandment: I'm the Lord your God who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other god but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or any image in anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other God. So anytime we would be tempted to think, like, why does God have to be so exclusive? It's in the very first, it's in the law from the very beginning.
Can't say you don't know.
Don't no other gods, nothing. And this is what I said on Sunday too, is like, here's a really, see if this plays with your mind. I don't know if you made it to this point in the sermon or not, but I said, here's the lovely thing about the gospel. It is amazingly inclusive for all time, for all people, all time, and all places. But you know what it is, right? It's also terribly exclusive.
Yeah.
There is not a way, there are not many ways to the truth and to the core of the gospel. There is the way.
Yeah.
Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father but through and by me. And we look at that story and we're like, how silly could people be to be up on top of a mountain and just yelling to a God who isn't there? Because that's what the whole story of Elijah is about.
Yeah.
These worshipers who are up there for like literally 6 hours, jumping around, screaming, yelling, hooting, hollering, cutting themselves, doing all this crazy stuff for 6 hours.
Yeah.
And
still nothing.
It fascinated me. It says that twice in this text in 1 Kings 18. There was no answer. There was no response. It was just silence. Nothing. And we think, how silly and uneducated and uncivilized of these people to do this, to give their worship to a God who's not even real. That was dramatic. That was a dramatic moment.
That was very dramatic.
Do we not do the same thing?
Oh, we do. All the time.
How do we do that?
Usually it's ourselves. Right?
Okay.
Like we're following our own
Desires.
And when it comes down to it, and we've mentioned this before, I think last week, we're not very good at being God.
In control, right?
Yeah.
I am convinced that we do, thousands of years later, we do the very same thing that those people were doing on the top of Mount Carmel.
And it could be other things, right? Like, it could be other things that take us and things that we follow after, like possessions. And at the end of the day, they fall flat.
Yeah. I think, I like to get very specific, and I think very specifically, I think that by and large, across the board, doesn't matter what socioeconomic level you are, where you live in the world, I think there is something at the core of every human being, and I say what it is happiness.
Okay.
I just want to be happy. Now that happiness goes in a million different directions. I will search and I will try to find something to fulfill that and fill that void in my life for happiness. But at the core, I believe, of every desire and want and urge that we have is happiness. And I think actually a subset of that too is something that I think we have a hard time articulating this, is acceptance. I just want to be loved and valued and heard and known.
Yeah. But the things that we go after to do that leave us even worse than before. There's no response.
Yeah.
There's no reply. Only silence.
That's exactly what it is. Everything of the 1,000,001 things we can pursue to find happiness and acceptance, every one of them will leave us empty. And that's what false gods do. And like, again, people will be like, well, we don't worship false gods. Well, actually, we do. We do. We give ourselves to them. Jesus says it very plainly. You cannot serve two masters, for you will hate the one and you will love the other. One will control you, one will not control you. That's just as simple as it is.
Yeah.
Again, there is a choice. Make a choice and go for it. And Jesus would be so bold, and he does it in Revelation. You mentioned it to say, here's the deal. If you want to be cold,
go for it.
Go for it. If you want to chase after false gods, go for it with all your might. Elijah says the very same thing in here in 1 Kings 18, doesn't he? He says,
what are you going to do?
In verse 21, how much longer are you going to waver and hobble and jump between two opinions? If God is the real God, go after him. But, and this is bold, by the way.
Yeah.
Because again, Jesus does it in Revelation, but he says, but if Baal is the true God, go after him. I'm not telling you what you need to do, but you got to pick something.
Yeah.
And what the people in Israel were doing in that time, that day, were trying to blend two things together. Like, here it is. I want the best of both worlds. Yeah. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. We call that, and it's still known today, as syncretism. Trying to blend together two diametrically opposed ways of life and thinking that they're going to play well together. They don't play well together. Let me just give you a really easy formula. God plus anything else doesn't play well together.
Yeah.
Does not play. Yeah, nothing. But like I said, we do that so often in our lives. And again, like I said, false gods, whatever it may be, to get happiness and to get acceptance, we chase money and pleasure and fame and popularity. I mean, we could go on and list all these things. And false gods have a way, just as they do in Elijah's story, of chewing us up and spitting us out.
Yeah.
And then what do they do? I mean, because like, we get burned every time by this stuff, don't we? But what do false gods also do? Oh, hey, Levi, if you want to come back, I'll take you back. And just like, it's like, you just chewed me up and spit me out. You want nothing to do with me. I'm like, oh, I'll take you back. And what do we stupidly do so many times?
We go right back.
All right. And like, you go right back for it again. And like I said, one thing I kind of zeroed in on Sunday too was that false gods have a tendency to really burn us out, because they require massive amounts of effort and time and focus and attention in our heart. And it's no wonder. I feel this in my life, and I know it's to be true that it's not that like I'm trying to intentionally worship false gods, but I'm giving my loyalty to them. Right. I just feel so drained. I just feel so exhausted.
Because they're a god of your own creation.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's if you don't have the actual power of God, man, it's hard to keep up.
It is. You're spinning your wheels. You're on the hamster wheel constantly, and it's like, how do I get off of this thing? And again, like, the only way that you can get off of that thing is to say, I choose God. Well, what does Jesus say in the Gospels? I always constantly come back to this, and it applies very well here. Come to me, all you who are weary and have a heavy burden, and I will give you rest. My yoke is light and it's easy if you take it upon yourself.
Yeah.
And I think I oftentimes, when I was young, I would hear that and be like, oh, it's a breeze to follow Jesus, man, because he's saying his yoke. No, it's tough. It's difficult. Tough. But guess what? Guess what Jesus can't do when you choose a false god or something empty? He's not a part of the equation, is he?
He can't help you.
He can't help you. He can't support you. He can't encourage you. But if you choose Jesus, even though it's difficult, and sometimes I would say it's actually, I think that...
Let me rephrase that. He chooses to let us go our own way. Like, it's not the fact that we found something that God cannot do.
Yeah, or he just see ya, I'm checking out.
Right, it's, we have moved ourselves out of that help.
Yeah, who moved my cheese? Just kidding, I guess, not about that at all. But yeah, I think so very much. And when Jesus says, hey, life's going to be even probably more difficult, because I think things like money and fame and popularity and happiness and all that stuff, I think those are actually just convenient. Mm. And they cause real damage, but they're easy at first. That's why we go to them so often. It's like it's easy to slip into this. Jesus is not as convenient. Life following Jesus is oftentimes harder than anything else that's around you. It's not the thing that we automatically be like, oh, I pick that, I choose that.
Almost like it's the narrower of the paths.
Oh yeah, narrow path, wide path. It's almost like we're
the
Jesus
road less traveled.
Yeah, all that good stuff. But I think when Jesus says that come to me, all you who are weary and heavy burdened, is he's saying this is going to be really tough. But now you have me.
Right.
I'm here. I can be with you now. That's why he says over and over again, like, what's one of the greatest commands in the Bible? I will be with you. I am with you. I am surely with you till the very end of the age. Yeah. Over and over again, Jesus says it. Because he's saying, what is he really saying in that? What the heart and the core of the Elijah story is what? Choose me.
Choose the right God. Choose the only God.
Me.
Yeah.
Please. And that's what he's saying over and over again. I will be with you. I'm going to be with you all the way. But you've got to choose me. And so I think it's just a very important thing for us to think about. And that's a simple question right there. What and who are you choosing in life? Really and truly. Because I think that we could fake.
And if you're not choosing, again,
you've made a choice.
You've made a choice.
I think it's easy for us to fool ourselves and trick ourselves and be like, well, of course I'm choosing God and picking God. Why wouldn't I? But are we really? Yeah. Just look at your
first in our lives.
Look at your calendar and just look at a week and be like, what did you choose to do this week? And it's not that things are bad if you choose to go to a sporting event or have your child in sport. That's not the bad part of it. But when that stuff becomes so oppressive that you have no time to dwell with God and to choose God, that's when it becomes a problem. Yeah. And so I think we just really need to ask that question. Who are you possibly choosing some false, empty, hollow, little g gods in your life that are causing you to feel spent, burnt, taxed, chewed up and spit out in life? And if that is so, then you need to, as Elijah said, it's just such a timely statement. Choose now, today. Yeah. Don't waver anymore between two opinions. It's actually a phrase that shows up all over the Bible. You remember in Joshua, don't you, when he has brought the people into the land of Canaan? And he says, choose for yourself this day who are you going to serve the gods of your ancestors across the way there? He goes, as for me and my house, we will choose the Lord.
It's like a test when, a one question test and you've got the answer.
Yeah. Choose God.
It should be a simple question.
It really is. And maybe for you today, this is a kind of a defining moment, or what I would call a line in the sand moment. And maybe you just need to imagine a line in the sand, imaginary line in the sand, and say, which side am I going to stand on? And Jesus is frank. This is what I love about Jesus, and it's very scary though at the same time. Is Jesus forces you to choose sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, buddy, that fence post right there, it's not for you to sit on.
Yeah.
Like, and he says it very clearly. Choose. Are you for me? And if you're not for me, you're automatically against me.
Yeah.
And so this story of Elijah, I think, it's sometimes cutesified, like a lot of Old Testament stories. Like, oh, Elijah went up and beat up on some prophets and wow, one for God. It's like, no, it's really actually a serious heart check moment for all of us.
Yeah.
Who have we chosen? And furthermore, beyond that, you got to think about the context of Elijah's story. Elijah 17, 1 Kings 17, you know what 1 Kings 17 is about? The drought begins in Israel, and then what is Elijah fed by? A raven first, remember, at the brook. And then he's fed by of all people, a Gentile woman in Gentile territory. Again, the gospel shows up already, in that. But he's got to have faith there, living in the wilderness. And do you remember what directly happens after the contest and the showdown on Mount Carmel? He runs down, he runs back to Jezreel, ahead of Ahab. But what does he do? Like in chapter 19, he's sitting under a tree doing what?
Sulking. I'm the only one.
I'm the only one. Just kill me, God.
Yeah.
Those are tough moments. I mean, we always want to focus on 1 Kings 18. That's the triumphant moment, the glory moment. It's sandwiched into between two really horrible wilderness moments.
Yeah.
Which there's a whole other rap episode there. But
oh gosh.
I think for today, suffice to say,
too.
and to leave it at the fact that just ask yourself the question: what am I choosing in life, and am I choosing the right things in person?
Summertime, coming in and out with friends, when I was a kid, and I always got the in or out, right? In or out.
I've turned into my father in that one because I do that to my kids all the time. Like, guys, I'm not air conditioning the outside.
Yeah.
All right, in or out. Pick it. Thank you. Exactly. Great illustration. Great one to end on. Are you in or are you out? And I think that's the question we end with today. And as always, we thank you for giving of your time for just a little bit to listen to God's Word and us to talk about God's Word and to challenge you in your life to do greater things and to be greater for God. So until we see you guys again next time, we're out.
See you guys.